It was particularly interesting, didn't you? Wow. Some things never change, you know. I mean, kind of keeps perpetuating. My attention today has been drawn toward the gospel lesson, the Gospel of John, and that was in chapter 9. And I thought it was interesting. Jesus is walking with his disciples, and he gets asked a question. No authorities are hanging around. That would be the scribes, the lawyers of Judaism, and so forth. But they just said, look, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Now, we might think that that's just a very unusual question, but from Deuteronomy and Leviticus, we have concepts about sin. It's a little different. There has been the corporate responsibility for the commission of individual sin that was in the Torah, the law of Moses. And what that means is if someone sinned, not only did that person get punished, but their children got punished, and their children's children got punished. So there you have a very interesting concept about the commission of sin and its consequences. So what I would do has bearing on everything that happens in Old Testament first thought. And it was a thought of the first century too. I mean, this is ancient things that have moved into you. So the disciples said, who sinned, this man or his parents? And there has been an evolution in law, though, because they said, did this man do it, or was it his parents and he suffered because of that? And the whole business about, did the individual do it? Well, that comes from the concept of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, found in Leviticus. And where did that come from? Interesting that comes from not really Jewish thought. This comes from the Babylonian culture, or probably, there may be some people who want to split hairs about it, but the Code of Hammurabi was a code that was established, ancient law, in 1754 BC. That's a long time. Now, it was first discovered in 1901. And when it was discovered, it was like this 7-foot tall sort of iron finger with all of the code written on it. And other things have been found to verify, what was there. And so that concept of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and it listed in the Hammurabi Code, if somebody steals, cut off their hand or something like that. Or if they do something, you do something equally bad. And this was a part of the law of Moses as well. It started going back into the Torah. And so that was where that question that the disciples asked Jesus came up. Now, the thrust of the evangelist John is not going to be answering that question about sin. The thrust of the Gospel of John is theological. This man has been born blind, and I am the light. It's one part of the I am statements that are filled in the Gospel of John. I am the light of the world. As long as I'm here, we're going to have a revelation of the light of the world. And he heals the man that is born blind. And the story goes on, of course, about how he tells him to wash the mud off of his eyes. In other translations, it says clay. But he goes to the pool. Hush, boys. In other translations, it's called clay. And he goes and he washes it off, and then he comes back. And I mean, this is a very sort of subtle type of healing. People go, oh, wait, I know that person. Is this him? No, can't be. Can't be him. And they ask him, he says, yep, it's me. Then he gets sent to the Pharisees, the scribes, I guess, and they ask him, and he just said, well, the man named Jesus did this, and I can see. And they said to him, where is he? And he said, I don't know where he is. And the story continues from there. I lost what the end of the passage was. Hang on just a second. Let me open my. Some of the Pharisees said, this man is not from God, for he does not keep the Sabbath. Well, they pretty much look for, we've heard this kind of thing before in other Gospels. And also in all of the other Gospels, we have stories of, the healing of the blind. And so the Pharisees pick up this thing. He's not following the law. He can't be who he says he is because he's healing on the Sabbath. And Jesus was accused of that in other passages. And they don't really have a qualm, I guess, with the fact that the man was healed. They have a qualm with the liturgical circumstances under which it occurred. And, priests get in the way of, good liturgics. If you interrupt the liturgics, that's just not good. We do funerals certain ways. And Lord help the funeral director who comes in and tries to change it. I feel like we're a little Pharisaic ourselves sometimes in that. But I like our funeral liturgy. I have apologized to funeral directors before. Charles, have you ever apologized to a funeral director?
Not once.
No way.
No.
I can read lips. Okay. Well, anyway, that's sort of some of the background toward this. John's thrust is theological. It doesn't have a whole lot to do about the presence of judgment in the world on who sinned, this man's parents or him. There is some legitimacy in the concept of corporate responsibility, though. I mean, we have individuals that lead us and we follow them, and they may make a mistake and then we follow that. And there's corporate responsibility. And I think the state of Connecticut, for example, understood they had some corporate responsibility for the commission of what they thought was an individual sin. And that is Prudence, who